We now get to the key feature of V8 that has to do with the very existence of Node.js, adding features to JavaScript. If I go back to the V8 homepage, I'm in Chromium, googlesource.com V8. There was a fourth item in the description. I mean this item. That V8 can run standalone. That is, it can just be its own program that just takes JavaScript code, the text that I write, and does all the work to make sure it's valid and everything else, then convert it into the machine code. Or it can be embedded into any C++ program. Now, here's the cool part. Here's the part that takes us down the road toward Node.js. If you're writing a C++ program, you can put V8 inside your C++ program and use it. You could write a C++ program where others can write JavaScript, and your C++ program can take that JavaScript and run it through V8. But there is more than that. V8 has hooks that I can use in my C++ program. So we already know that I write JavaScript code. It's text that I get passed to the V8 engine. V8 is a C++ program, and V8 ultimately in some way creates for me the machine code that will run on the processor. But I can also embed V8 into my C++ program so that JavaScript code still gets run through V8. It still works to generate that machine code, but because I'm also writing in C++, the same language that V8 is written in, there are hooks that I can use to add features to JavaScript. Now, what do we mean by that? Well, V8 is just C++, and it's taking JavaScript and doing things with it, like interpreting it, compiling it, and so. V8 allows me to write my own C++ code that I can make available to JavaScript. In other words, I can make it so that if someone writes something in particular in JavaScript code that will cause my C++ code to be run, this means I can essentially add features to JavaScript by embedding V8 into my C++ program. And so my C++ program will read and understand more than what the ECMAScript standard specifies that JavaScript should understand. This is extraordinarily powerful feature because C++ has far more features than JavaScript as a programming language. JavaScript was designed to be in the browser. It wasn't designed to deal with lower level operations like dealing with files and folders that are sitting on your hard drive or connecting directly to a database. C++ was designed to do that. It was designed closer to the machine, so that means I can write things in C++ that JavaScript doesn't have, and make anything that I can do in C++ available into my JavaScript code. Alright, let's see an example that comes along for the ride when you download V8's code. Alright, for this part I'm gonna open something that comes along with V8 source code. It's some C++ code of its own. I've opened it here in the Visual Studio Code. You don't have to do this, don't worry. I just want to show this to you. I think you will enjoy understanding this. And it will be very helpful for later in the course. Now this C++ code, a C++ program that runs in the command line called shell. It's not V8, it's just a little C++ program. But notice, these lines of C++ program, it actually is embedding or using V8, the entire engine within itself, and then it's going to use this embed to add some features to JavaScript. First of all, let me just run this little shell program. I'll use command line. I went to the folder where the program has been compiled and I can run it. I just type shell, and I see that it outputs for me what version of V8 it's using, and then I can write some JavaScript. And what this little C++ program does is take the text that I type, give it to the V8, and then output whatever V8 gives back to the C++ program. So let's set a variable. So I set a variable and nothing comes back. But if I say A now, I see this, I see the 1. See what happened here. I have a little C++ program that lets me type some text, and it passes it to the JavaScript engine, to V8, and then prints whatever V8 gives back. So I've embedded V8 inside a program that does more than what V8 does. Actually, it's adding some features to it. But I haven't added a feature to the JavaScript itself. I'm just using V8. By the way, okay, I'm gonna quit. Here's something interesting. You know how we have been saying that V8 takes your JavaScript code, the text you write, and converts it into the machine code? The shell program has an argument called print bytecode. Let's pass the print bytecode command. Sorry, I made a mistake. It will show me the machine code, the bytecode that V8 generates. The bytecode is so close to the machine code. Actually, JavaScript, or let's say V8, implements an abstraction on top of machine code, because every microprocessor has its own language or has its own machine code, and it was a good idea to abstract them at first into a new bytecode language. It's called JavaScript bytecode language, and then this bytecode is going to be converted to the machine code. Okay, I'll say var a equal 1. A very simple line of JavaScript, and you will see these are the JavaScript bytecodes. The V8 took me took my raw JavaScript source code and then generated these JavaScript bytecodes, and then this bytecode will be passed to another machine, and then it will be converted to the machine code. Just for your information, this machine is called turbofan. I mean the machine that converts the JavaScript bytecode to the machine code. I can say also 1 plus 1. It also prints the bytecode again, and again this bytecode will be passed to the turbofan, and turbofan will convert this JavaScript bytecode to the machine code, the code that my laptop processor can understand. So we can see how far away from what's really happening we are abstracted when we are writing in a language like JavaScript, and just how much work an engine like V8 is doing for us, and it's here free of charge for us to use. That's pretty amazing. All right, let's cancel that. I'll say clear to clear my screen. Let's take a look at these interesting C++ functions: print, read, load, quit. These are C++ functions inside this C++ program. And if I scroll down more, at this point in these lines, I can see that V8 is being used in my C++ program, and something interesting happens exactly here. What happens is that we are binding those C++ functions that you have already seen to statements or keywords or words that V8 will look for. So there is no such thing as a print keyword in JavaScript. If you look at the ECMAScript specification, there is no print keyword. There is also nothing called load in JavaScript, but I've written here, or has been provided to me in this case, some C++ code that prints value to the command line, this function, and this one, load reads a file. Remember, JavaScript has no means to read a file, but C++ does. And then I'm binding these phrases to my C++ application. I mean these phrases to these C++ codes. In other words, I'm saying to V8, when you see these phrases in the JavaScript, actually run this code or this function. Actually, I'm saying, please run this specified C++ code, not within yourself V8, but I've given you some C++ code that you can use. And of course, C++ is converted to machine code as well. So everything is machine code eventually, but while V8 is running and processing the JavaScript code, I give it, if it sees this, even though it's not part of the ECMAScript specification, even though it's not part of V8 itself, what it sees as normal JavaScript, V8 allows me to add new features by simply writing the feature in C++ and telling V8 how to call the feature in JavaScript. So when the JavaScript C print, it's actually going to go out and run these C++ print functions. And the same thing with loading the file. When JavaScript sees this expression, then it's going to call this C++ function. Let's try that. I'm going to go ahead and run my little C++ program called shell. And remember, it recognizes normal JavaScript because it runs it through the V8 engine. And normally if I called print in JavaScript, it would be an error because there is no such thing as the print keyword. V8 would be unaware of it. But I've embedded V8, so I'm actually sending this code to my C++ program, which then is sending to the V8. And in my C++ program, I've defined a print function, and I've told V8, when you see phrase print in JavaScript program, please run the C++ code, the print C++ function that I've written over the source codes. And so that's valid JavaScript. So let's try it out. And let's say print hello. I've just wrote a line of JavaScript that is invalid according to the specification. That shouldn't exist. That V8 lets me add this feature to JavaScript because V8 is just C++. It looks at the JavaScript, it sees the phrase, and since I've also written some C++ code and told V8 about it, it knows what to do. That's really pretty cool, right? I can even load a file. Here, let's back to the Visual Studio Code. Here, I created a little file called app.js. I set two variables, added them together, and then the print statement to output them. The load function lets me pass a string to it, the string being my file name. Let's try it. Load, and let's say app.js. If I hit the enter, it should be an error normally. The load function does not exist in JavaScript, but I've added it. I've told V8 here, let me open up the shell again. Here, I've told V8, here's an extra function called load. If when you see this expression, please call the C++ load function. And so when I run it, it prints 3. It loaded the entire file, which itself is something that JavaScript can't do. So the ability to load a file was given to JavaScript, and then it printed it, which is something that JavaScript normally can't do. So we have attached C++ code to our own custom JavaScript keywords. Think about that for a second. You could just keep expanding JavaScript with whatever feature you could think of that you could write in C++, which is a lot because C++ is closer to the machine. It's a feature-filled programming language. All right, you get that? What about if we try adding our own little feature? Okay, in just a couple of minutes. I skipped that part for you, and I added a simple new feature called greet that just output hi from Reza and then carriage return. And then I made sure at this point, let me just scroll up. At this point, the greet function, I made sure to make that available to JavaScript by giving it a keyword, a new function to the V8 saying that if you see the word greet, then call my C++ program, my C++ function. Then when I built this, let's go back to my shell and call greet and then, greet and parentheses. And if I hit enter, you see the message. Now, I didn't define this function in JavaScript. This is now natively available to any JavaScript that I run through my shell program. I've added this feature to JavaScript, so we have an understanding. We have seen that V8 is designed so that we can embed it in other C++ programs and therefore make features, make things that we can do in C++ available to JavaScript, available to be able to be invoked or called through JavaScript. I can essentially add features. That is what Node.js is. Node.js is a C++ program with V8 embedded that has added a wealth of great features that make it suitable to be a server technology. So, what does that all mean? What are some of these things that Node.js has added, and how can we use it? Well, that's exactly what we are going to talk about for the rest of the course. Let's move on.